a symptom of racism that has been swept under the rug for decades. And I am so glad now that the truth is out, and I'm very grateful to your network for telling the truth and reporting the truth of what's going to go down in the coming days. People are angry and they are hurt, and they're trying to figure out how are they going to receive justice. And I will tell you that we are now in phase 3. Phase 3 is looking at our statutes that we have in law. When I listened to Bob McCullough earlier today, he didn't reflect on the point that we can change excessive force language that is in our statutes right now. In fact, it's very broad. We need to change several different sections of statute. And so that is what I plan to do. But right now, my community is hurting. They are in pain. They have been in pain before Michael Brown. Having to look at Michael Brown's body for 4.5 hours injured them more. I have constituents who have PTSD. I have constituents who have no hope. And tonight, when you listen to what Bob McCullough said, in fact, I've been getting text messages nonstop as I've been listening to your reporting, and people are angered because they feel as though his words are empty, as it was said earlier today. And because of the systematic racism that we have in our state government and our state party, if we do not bring the truth to bear, then we will not recover from what we are going on, what we're experiencing right now. And I have to tell you, this is St. Louis's race war. We didn't have a race war like other cities throughout the country. This is our race war. And people have to be open, and they have to be honest, and they have to be earnest. And they have not been earnest for decades. In my own experience, I know of people in my own party, in my own government structure, who disregard things that we say and how we feel, and we are not going to allow it anymore.
I disregard the whole statement that you want to make this your race war. I just disregard it. I know she's saying they'll disregard what we say, but you know what? Let's just talk about history here for a minute, Mike. So what we have here is we have a compensatory race war. This is something that if you look at it in a way, I mean, while everybody's calling us communist Marxists, calling you a Marxist.
Right.
What was it, the very thing the Marxists said that we needed to do in order to redistribute wealth?
Focus on this compensatory race issue. It would be used as a justification. It was talked about in Das Kapital. Yeah. This is capital.
This is a justification.
Yeah.
In order, it makes it more legitimate saying we need to redistribute the wealth again to the blacks.
Right.
See, remember I was talking about the robots rebellion a couple of weeks ago. I said there needs to be a floor wage because what's going to happen is the haves and the have-nots are going to bitch, moan, and complain they're not getting enough money. And what's going to happen is they're going to provide a compensatory wage. They're going to give a living wage to people who aren't working, a welfare wage. Right. They're already doing it in Switzerland, and they're moving it throughout the world. And this is a reason, this type of thing is going to open the dialogue for a compensatory, this is compensatory racism. It's like, hey, guess what, guys? These guys aren't getting what they deserve. They're living in poverty. We must do something about this to avoid another.
Here's the thing about that.
Ferguson.
Okay. Our government in the United States has a parasite problem. We have a government eating out our substance. It's living in our digestive system as a nation. Okay, if you do things like use an idea or a meme like compensatory racism to redistribute wealth, that's right there on that raise the minimum wage thing. But what people don't understand is that if you just arbitrarily, artificially raise a minimum wage, what you're doing, outside of the realm of a free market, what you're actually doing is increasing the tax base of what the moneyed class has to spend, so they can buy more tanks and more bombs and more militarized police and more surveillance society, more data mining software, more vitamin D-deficient morons in basements, flagging people's emails, more of all of that stuff. So they're artificially outside of a free market, increasing the amount of money that they have to continue their tyranny and using inflation as a hidden tax to eat out the substance of this nation. But I have to say, for the for people that are going to watch this that are fans of mine online, I'm not saying that we don't have institutional racism in this country, because I believe we do. It's part of our culture. I mean, if you just look at sentencing guidelines for different types of drugs, like, say, crack versus powdered cocaine, crack has higher sentencing, and that's because, a lot of poor black people, smoke crack. White businessmen snort lines of coke, on their, $500,000 yachts out on the Caribbean. So, I mean, yeah, we do have institutional racism in this country, but the police state, the manner in which government is interfacing with the people to tyrannize, to eat our substance out, to use the hidden tax known as inflation, it affects everybody. This militarization, this heavy-handedness with the police, it's affecting everyone regardless of race, and it's gonna bring every one of us down. So, I mean, it's very important not to get caught up in the emotionality of something and allow the mainstream media and the corporations that own it to manipulate you.
Well, and that's the thing, is that it becomes a manipulative exercise. And as you say, we fight about it now, but what we don't look at is we don't look at the big picture. And we don't see that we see how most of this is coming from, for example, I mean, I just turned right to it, Chapter 2, Proletarians and Communists. And you look at you look at Chapter 2 of the Communist Manifesto, talking about the races, the revolutions, distinguishing features of communism and the abolition of property and all of this, and then the redistribution of wealth to all, and the dialogue opening for its personal social powers in government, when therefore capital is converted into a common property, into the property of all members of society. Personal property is not thereby transformed into social property. It's only the social character of property that's changed. It does not lose its class character. Let us now take on wage labor. This is the thing. I've talked about this floor wage. We've talked about the minimum wage. We've talked about the redistribution of power and the fact that there's going to have to be a new welfare age that's going to have to be presented to the people, where a living wage will be given to everyone regardless of whether or not they're working, which would be a base wage of, like they have in Switzerland, which is about $2,600 a month. They're distributing to everybody. And then anything you do beyond that is based on your skills, your hobbies, and your ability to network market. If you don't have the ability to do network marketing, if you don't have the ability to use your skills for other things other than just collecting a paycheck, sitting on your butt watching TV and playing Xbox, that's all you're going to get. And that's why I can promise you that while 9/11 opened the dialogue for socialism in this country, this is going to open up the dialogue for page 2 of Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals.
Yeah.
It's going to be more open dialogue for the Communist Manifesto and social status, redistribution of wealth amongst the poor, because the poor will rebel if we don't do something to help them out.
Right.
This is a race war.
And it's not going to be a happy, everyone's getting along, egalitarian socialist state. It's going to be state socialism or state communism. It won't be any of the good aspects of communalism that you read about when you research Marx. It's going to be a statist, fascistic version, and that's the thing that frightens me. That's the thing that we must guard against, is these crises being used, like Naomi Klein talked about in her shock doctrine work, to be used to manipulate us into being part of this basically this New World Order system, for lack of a better term. That's kind of a blanket term. I mean, I really believe that the elite aren't in some kind of giant uniform conspiracy, because there's too many elite groups that have similar goals. Yeah. But like I said earlier, you have thousands of corporations and they all just want to keep more power. So they're gonna naturally form alliances to one another, the same way that you close your eye when you're walking through the woods and a branch gets too close to it. Right. Like an instinct of tyranny. They're just gonna socially align and align their monetary policies and align their lawyers together to keep what they have. And what they have now is a feudal state. There's a corporate feudal state going on worldwide, and it's going to get worse, and they're going to use these mechanisms to achieve it.
Right. All this is